You have to stick with me here. You have to stick with me here. The patriarchy isn't fighting against women. It's fighting against grown women. Because grown women are intelligent enough to not only see through the illusions of the patriarchy, but also have the experience to understand.
I'm happy you said the word illusion. Like the patriarchy, all illusions. All right, cool. We on the same page, guys. We can keep going.
Experience to understand and reflect as to how they can not only compete with patriarchy, but they can find a new way to organize their life that complements themselves beyond dependence to the patriarchy. So we need to continue to lower the age of desirability, lower the age of social acceptance, lower the age of women to almost infant level awareness to protect the patriarchy and continue to just justify this natural need for male dominance because of female incompetence. But
that need for male dominance because of female incompetence that's actually Bible. When you're going back to Genesis. It say the woman shall desire the man. I'm being just as ridiculous as I feel this is, but I'm gonna hear him out because he might have some good points. But Genesis, after the fall, God told Eve, "And your husband shall rule over you." Now that ain't all men, but your husband shall rule over you. And then for the rest of it, men was just bigger and stronger. And to be quite honest, until this new age where things have been so technologically advanced, women had to depend on men and their protection, or else they would get killed and eaten by animals. Yikes. Because they didn't have the tensile strength, hand strength, muscles to be able to build adequate shelters to shelter them from the elements and from other animals, nor did they have the strength to fend off animals even if they were to fashion weapons. Now we got some women that look like this. Not her. Not her, but this. We got women that look like that. But she looked like that because of technology also created by men that helps her to have muscles that are not naturally able to grow in the human body without what's a good word? Augmentation, sort of like a cyborg, maybe like a mutant, spliced with animal genes. Whoa. Look, first of all, let's be clear. Men took them first. But let's be clear. Men took them first. But the women who would be able to be in this type of space is such a small amount of them that if there were just women on the earth and men weren't here with the superior physical strength, I don't know if they would still be here. Outside of the reproduction thing. I don't know. Maybe they would.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Possibly, because women are smart, like men. Both of y'all can be smart. Both of y'all can be stupid. Me and him just be seeing from opposite sides of the spectrum, but I want to see what else he gonna say. You got anything to say to Brother Feminist? That's a good name. You should take that.
Yes.
Brother Feminist.
Brother Feminist. That's a good name. You should take that. Rolls off the tongue. It's good.
We'll see.
Seriously?
You just had one.
I got one here.
One mustache here that was just like,
see, women like they're amazing.
And it keeps
because I didn't even see that.
Stupid.
She just was like, yo, you got one hair that's going in your nose.
it's not even going. It's like.
I got one alfalfa hair. Can y'all see it? Hold on.
Ew.
Really, babe? They don't need to see up your nostrils.
I'm just saying.
I'm not trying to. Why they ain't got to go up my nostril? Well, you can't help but go up my nostrils because my nostrils go like this. So they like this all the time. That's their natural state. They're naturally sucking in all the air in the atmosphere. It's the patriarchy. I'm taking all of her air. I'm trying to suck it into myself.
Bruh, really?
No, but I want to see what else he got to say. Right now,
they need to justify female incompetence by choosing younger women rather than realizing that maybe the system's not meant to work like that. And our best communities and relationships are built with actually elevating everybody rather than boxing in the people that we desire to manipulate.
Okay. Now, that's why he said you got to stick with him. And that's why I stuck with you, brother. I agree. The best community you can have elevates everyone, men and women.
Yes, 100%.
Which is the reason why a lot of people don't like us. because we don't lean to the feminists and we don't lean to the red pill either.
That's true.
We right in the middle. Yeah, right in the middle. We right in the middle with Jill. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of y'all think G is a part of the patriarchy, but it's not.
Nope.
But there is a understanding of roles in the Bible and stuff like that. And for those of you outside the Bible, you got all of the evolutionary stuff that red pill people have been talking about for the last 2, 3, 5 years, especially. But it's longer than that. But that's when it became popular. That talks about a lot of these evolutionary things, why men and women sort of had certain roles in society based on their strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. So I stayed with you, brother feminist.
He kind of lost me a little bit at first. I was like, but I think well, towards the end, I'm like, okay, I'm assuming that kind of just summed it up, basically what he was saying. But I don't know, I just feel like the delivery, the signals was kind of...
Yeah, I agree.
You think, I don't
No, it didn't go like this. Did it go like that for y'all? Because it did for me. For a second, I was like,
Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. Number one, feminism is actively destroying the family unit, which is actively destroying communities, which is going to actively destroy everything. Because once you crack the foundation of something, everything else falls apart. And the foundation of American society is family. Although with some of the stuff that happened in the beginning, you wouldn't think that was it, right?
nope. You know what I found very interesting? And it just comes to show you how far we've come.
Right.
What were we watching the other night? House Hunters, I think it was.
I was about to say Fabulous Women in Mud Wrestling.
What?
You didn't watch that?
Anyway,
My bad.
I think it was called House Hunters. And
That was a feminism joke, by the way, just in case y'all missed it. Go ahead.
I think we were watching House Hunters, and there was not a couple, but it was basically roommates. There was 2 roommates who were looking to buy like a house together.
They had a good loan, bro.
Yeah, like one of them had like $400K, another one had like $500K or whatever, and they were gonna come together. It was in Jersey.
Yeah.
They were both actors and they lived in New York, and they wanted to move over to Jersey because New York was ridiculous as far as the pricing for everything. So I'm like, okay. And then a commercial came on during that. I think it was a Zillow commercial, which I don't typically see that, but it was a Zillow commercial, and they were actually showing, it was a group of girls, them coming together to buy a property. And I was just like, I find it interesting that it's kind of being promoted and pushed for roommates to come together and like buy properties. Now, don't get me wrong. Like if you have a goal, you know what I'm saying? Like if, let's say it's you and your BFF or something like that, or maybe the people that I was telling you that were actors in New York, they were working actors or what have you. Let's say you do have kind of like a goal in mind, like you guys are maybe trying to build something or whatever, and maybe that's part of it. But I just thought it was very interesting that was something that was being promoted, because that's not something that you would normally, or at least you didn't used to hear of, to me, back in the day. Like usually when you're going to buy a house with somebody, it's usually your husband or your wife.
Yep.
It's not a roommate.
Right.
You know what I mean? That you would be buying a house with.
Well, that's the society we living in, because men and women cannot figure out how to coexist, how to live together, and how to be in a relationship. And you know what the reality is? The reason we can't be in a relationship is because we suck.
Ouch.
We do. And
We do.
what really sucks, if you find somebody who don't suck, it'll be that person around a bunch of people who do suck, and they still can't find nobody. So like all y'all watching our channel, y'all perfect. Yep. So all of y'all that watch our channel,
not y'all
perfect. So what it is when you look around and you like, okay, everybody trash, you still stuck with nobody.
Just me, by myself. Bruh.
This is true.
Because it's like, you know, most of y'all don't live around each other. Most of y'all that watch our videos, y'all probably ain't even in the same city or the state. So, you know, what you gonna do? It's rough. It's rough out here. It's hard out here for a pimp and for the H's too. It's rough for everybody.
Really?
Just, come on, you know. I mean, the madams.
Wow.
It's hard for the madams too. You know, I have to be equal because we don't want to be accused of the patriarchy thing.
Nope.
So look, I obviously don't believe in the patriarchy because all men are being dumped in a category because we are all being put in bad situations and being used by a small amount of very rich, very powerful people. People. If you watch the election, you'll start to see that it's people, not just men, not just women. It's people. As long as they're willing to give up anything and do anything to get what they want, and they will put you on the line for it, especially if you're of a certain age and you can get drafted. They don't really care. It's more about class than man-woman, but they're using the man-woman thing to serve their purposes. Yeah. Oh, and for all of the Democrats who wondering why men and women, stuff like this, like men, why won't these men vote with us? Y'all see where I'm going? We seeing it. It's stuff like this, to be honest. You can't make an enemy out of somebody and then be like, we need to come together and do this. Yeah, that's like backwards. You're making an enemy of somebody. So because women have made an enemy of men with stuff like that, and because men have turned around and made women enemies because they're doing the opposite. So no, men are not going to try to come over to y'all side so that we can support you. Why would they? Like, why? It doesn't make sense when you start to think about it. We did a video. I'm doing it on Nika. We did this video. That one. Where we were talking about how in a lot of first world countries, men are becoming more conservative, women are becoming more liberal. Oh, yeah. And that is part of the reason why we're having all of these issues with relationships and stuff. And because this is the channel by married people, for married people, and for people who want to be married, that is at the very center of the crisis with family, with men and women feeling estranged from each other, with the bad dating market. All of that stuff is packed into that. Yeah. It's a difference in mentality because men look at the way the world is now and they don't find it favorable or good for them in general. They feel like they're the enemy, and women feel like they're finally getting their push. But the problem is they're getting the push at the expense of not to be equal with. Like, I have to push you down so that I can be raised up. As opposed to never works because when men were doing it to women, not the best idea. This is what we have. So it's just like it. And even when she said that, we want to put it on all men, and it wasn't. Yeah, same difference. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, and so it's just one of those really bad things. I stuck with you, brother, and I actually agreed with your main point. I didn't agree with everything you said. Nope. Everybody does have to be raised up. Everybody has to be encouraged. Yes. I don't believe that everybody deserves everything. But I do believe that in general, we need to raise everyone up in order for us to have a better society that serves everybody. I was going to say that you started to say something and the video might get long-winded, but I think we might need to, I don't know, just throw this in here because some people might be like, what is he talking about? About what? So when you mentioned, I forgot exactly what he said, but basically you paused it and you were like, what he's saying is true because it goes back to Genesis. Oh, about women desiring men to sort of be in leadership and stuff. Yeah. So I was just going to say that might be a hard pill to swallow. Ooh. Yep. For those of y'all who believe in the Bible. Hard pill to swallow, but not really. If you really sit and think about what all that means. We dropped a video not too long ago, maybe, I don't know. Bruh. Just go back and watch all our videos. Yep. But we're talking about how men and women, how we're built, how we have different roles that we play naturally. And one of the things that I don't think a lot of us sisters realize, myself included, when we are thinking from a biblical standpoint of view, why is it that men have to be in control, or why are we supposed to be submissive to our husbands? And there was someone in a comment, a lady, I'm assuming, was in the comment section, and she had mentioned something about how she would never submit to her husband because it would make her a second act or something like that. It's like basically like a background something. And I was just like, dang, that's it's really sad. It's really that when I saw the comment, I was just like, wow. It made me feel bad because I'm just like, we as a people really don't understand that book. Those of us who profess to be Christians, those of us who who are trying to be Christ-like, we really don't get it. And we need to spend more time in that book understanding it. Just like how God has order, there's the Godhead, there's Christ, there's the Holy Spirit, 3 in 1. Some people call it Trinity, whatever. But basically, there's a certain order. And each part of this Godhead has a role that they play. And every role is very important. Like
you don't have one without the other. Like, they all work in perfect harmony. And our relationship, your marriage, is supposed to be a reflection, basically, of the relationship that Christ has with the church. And if you know that and you think about it, the church submits to Christ. Mm-hmm. Christ takes care of the church. He loves us and he takes care of us. He cherishes us. I think a lot of times when they hear the submissive word, they automatically think that the husband is going to be like a tyrant. They're just overbearing, controlling, like, I think caveman. I feel like that's kind of like the concept that they get. Mm-hmm. And if you really think about it, if marriage is supposed to resemble Christ's relationship to the church, do you really think that's how Christ treats us?
Nope.
Does he treat his church like that? So why do you think your husband would treat you like that?
Unless you pick the type of guy who would do that, and then you got to deal with your vetting process.
Yes, that's a whole nother story. And if you are in that situation, you really need to be on your knees and praying and asking the Lord to help give you strength, because that situation could be turned around. Okay. Yeah. But I just wanted to put that out there because I think a lot of times we just don't get it. Mm-hmm. I think we feel as though being submissive means that you're a lesser of a person, like you're not as good as or something like that. And it definitely doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you're not as good as. It doesn't mean that you're not capable. It's just that we all have our parts to play. And that actually, as Jay started to say, back in Genesis, that actually was a punishment.
Yep. You can go read the book yourself. Don't take my word for it. Please don't.
Yeah, back in Genesis chapter.
I don't quote chapters and stuff.
I don't remember. We'll put it up here.
I'll put it here. I'll look it up.
But yes, because of the fall of humanity, because of what happened when Eve went and took the fruit and ate the fruit, one of her punishments is that her husband was always going to be over her, rule over her. Okay. And increase pain and childbearing. Mm-hmm. But that was a punishment. Now, because God is love, even though that is technically a punishment, he still know how to flip that thing and turn around where it's still going to be beneficial for our good.
That's right.
Okay? So don't get that part twisted. But I want my sisters to really sit down there, think about it. Stop. Think about it. Get out your feelings, because I was in my feelings too. Okay? Get out your feelings and go and study that book. Yeah. Okay? And understand, because there's a blessing in the obedience when we follow the order in which God sets.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
This is what I will say too. I want to end this, but I have to say this because it's put on my heart to say it. Just for perspective, Christ humbled himself to save you.
That's right.
Yes.
Christ was God. He humbled himself and changed the order of what happened in heaven, lowered himself to become a human with us, took the punishment, bear the punishment, the separation from God, and God, the Father, and some of you believe that it's the same person operating in multiple. It is the same person operating in multiple, but it's also, anyway, look, I'm going to go into that.
You understand.
Because the explanation of the Trinity thing and whether you believe it or not is not really my concern. What I will tell you is that in that instance, Christ, the man, lowered himself, humbled himself. It's the same thing that happens when a man gets down on his knee in front of his wife. It represents Christ humbling himself before the church, washing the disciples' feet. Christ multiple times showed that even though he was God and one with God, he would humble himself. I find it crazy that anyone can sit up there and talk about how good they are, and you don't have the ability to humble yourself, even to the person that you claim to love more than anyone on the planet.
That part.
So I want us to have that in our minds too. Humility is one thing that is greatly lacking in our church, but that's because only 4% of us actually have a biblical worldview, even though 60% of Americans claim Christianity. Most of us have no clue what Christianity is or who Christ is because we don't read. That's what it really is. That's the problem with our society when it comes to that part, the claim of it. If you don't believe in all of this stuff, you got to take your own journey just like I did. But what I am going to tell you is for those who claim it, you way off. And so if that sister was like, I would never submit to my husband, it's not about you submitting to the man. It's about you submitting to God. And the fact that you would never submit to your husband means you would never submit to God. Because he's using that to show you what submission looks like.
Yep.
Because if you don't submit like a child, that's also in the Bible. He wants you to be like a child. We running out of time. The clock is about to cut off on us, and I'm not about to start your joke back up. Dang it! I'm gonna still have to start it back up.
Hey everybody, down in the description there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we could really use you guys' help. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Peace.
Press the off button.